Today's lesson is all about casting on. Casting on is the method of putting new stitches onto your needle to start a project. Now, the first thing that you do is you put your yarn ball over to the left and your tail end over to the right. You hold on to your yarn and you make a loop. You make a loop just like that. Now you have the yarn, the tail end is in front of the other end. Okay, so you take the end that's connected to the yarn ball and you push it through that little loop. You pull it out through the back. You put your needle in from front to back and you just tighten it up a little bit. There it is, nice and snug. Shouldn't be really tight, shouldn't be really loose. It should slide on the needle like that. Okay, now you have your first stitch. See, that wasn't so hard. You just make a little slip knot, that's all it is. So, now in order to put stitches on the needle, you still just need the one needle. As I mentioned before, I knit the European or continental method of knitting. That is where you hold the yarn in your left hand. The American style of knitting is where you hold your yarn in the right hand. I find that this method that I use is faster and you have more control over the tension of your knitting and you get much more even knitting. It's a little harder to learn in the beginning, but it's well worth the effort. So what you're doing is you hold the needle in your right hand, and this is how you hold the yarn in your left hand. You take your hand, you flip it over, palm side up. The yarn that's connected to the yarn ball, you loop around your finger, your baby finger, just like that. Then you turn your hand over, keeping the yarn underneath your ring finger and middle finger, and then over your pointer finger. So this is what it should look like, just like that. At the same time, you're holding your yarn, you're holding your needle in your right hand and you're holding your thumb on that first stitch. So then what you do is while you've got your yarn, just as we explained, you also hold on to the tail end of the yarn with your left hand. So you're holding both ends at the same time. Now this is only for casting on, only for getting the stitches on the needle. Once you do that first row of cast on stitches, you can forget all about this until your next project. So it's just that first bit, getting the stitches on the needle. Alright, so this is what we have. We have the yarn from the yarn ball, and this is the yarn from the tail. Now, my left thumb is going to be very important in this process. So wiggle your left thumb so you know where it is. Here's your right thumb, you know where that is. You're going to use your left thumb to make a loop. Take your left thumb, put it on top of that tail end yarn, and just loop it around your thumb like that. Then you take the needle tip and you push it through that loop from the front to the back. And look at that, you've got a bit of yarn there that's from the yarn ball. You just pull that through and then give that tail end yarn a little tug. There's your second stitch. Not so shabby. Okay, so again, we're holding, this is the yarn ball loop, yarn ball end, this is the tail end. You make a little loop with your thumb, front to back. There's the yarn, you pull it through. Just like that. Third stitch. Hold that tail end. Use your thumb to make a loop. Take the needle, push it through, front to back. Grab the yarn, pull it through. Give it a tug. 4 stitches. Same thing again. Make a loop, front to back. There's the yarn, pull it through. Give it a tug. Make a loop, front to back. There's the yarn, pull it through. Let's see how many stitches we have. 2, 4, 6. We have 6. Let's do this 4 more times and we'll have 10. See how they can slide? They're not so tight that they can't slide, but they're not so loose that they're ready to slip right off. So you make a loop with your thumb, put the needle through, pull the yarn from behind, perfect. Loop, front to back, catch the yarn, pull it through. Loop, front to back, pull it through. Let's count again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. One more. Hold on to the yarn, loop with your thumb, needle front to back, catch the yarn, and there it is. And now we have 10 stitches on. These are 10 stitches of casting on. This is not the first row, this is just the cast on row. So when you look at a knitting pattern and it says cast on 10 stitches, and then it says row 1, and it tells you what to do on row 1, this is not row 1, this is your cast on row. To get to row 1, you turn your needle this way and you hold it in your left hand. Then you're going to pick up your other needle and start your first row. Now you know how to cast on